Well, good morning, and I'm glad to join you today, but it is a somber day for me as I remember, and for the people of Israel as we remember that 1 year ago today, October 7th of 2023, the devastating attack by Hamas was launched against Israel. Now, for those who listened to me during the session, I'll say this is day 365. And we have around 100 hostages still being held by the terrorist organization Hamas. On October 7th, we saw Hamas, about 2,500 Hamas militants, participate in a coordinated attack on Israel that started early in the morning with them launching literally thousands of rockets into Israel. This was launched all over the border, the southern border of Gaza Strip. I want to talk specifically about what happened at the music festival, and then we'll get into some of the other areas. But there was a music festival called Supernova Music Festival. It was basically a rave. So for some of us older people that don't really know what a rave is, these are pre-planned, but no one knows what the location is. So you sign up to get a text message at the last minute of where it's going to be located, and basically that's so the authorities won't know where it's at, right? So about an hour before it starts, the text blast goes out, and everyone comes out. About 3,500 people show up, and it's only 3 miles from the Gaza border. In fact, a lot of the participants were saying we could see the fence line easily from where we were at, and thought, man, this is kind of close. Is it safe? But they stayed. A rave is a huge party, a big concert, lots of drugs. So you can kind of see, they're partying all night. At 6:30 a.m., the attack is launched. The concert, the venue, people running the concert tell everyone you need to leave, you need to go. But so many of them are either high or drunk or on some other kind of drug that not all of them flee. And quite frankly, the ones that do, it doesn't do them any good to flee anyway. Because Hamas has come in at this point and really used a pincer movement, which means they blocked off any exit. They came in from both sides and came into the middle to make sure that no one could get away. Now, no one knows whether Hamas knew that this festival was going on and focused part of their attack on that, or if it was just pure luck on Hamas's part. I hate to use the term luck when it comes to their attack, but no one really knows. They came in using pickups, motorcycles, paragliders. I mean, it was a full, invasion. The participants, at first had no idea what was going on. So many of them were, like I said, they were either high or drunk, that they misinterpreted what was happening at first. Then there was the gunshots. Some of them didn't really recognize them, which is a little bit surprising to me. And then when they did, they didn't know if it was just a small group. They didn't know. They had no idea what the extent was. This was a very large extent. I do want to give credit where credit's due. We've read to put some of this information together, but I want to recommend to you a documentary that I watched and have had some other people watch called We Will Dance Again. Again, that's We Will Dance Again. It's on Paramount Plus, and it is It's something else. If you really want to know what happened at this music festival, and if your stomach can stand it, because they don't hold anything back. A lot of the video is either taken from people that were there having fun at the concert, and then videoing a lot of the attack. But most of the video of the most horrific parts of the attack was actually taken by Hamas. They went in with like GoPros on their head and videoed them executing people. Literally, one of them uh, that I saw that I almost lost it on. Right? I almost threw up on this one, to be honest with you. They had a young lady who was trying to surrender. She got on her knees, put her hands up, and the Hamas terrorist walked up, put his gun to her head, and blew her head off. I mean, you saw the blood exploding out. It was horrific. That's what these guys did. That's what these, I don't even know what to call them, to be honest with you. I guess we call them terrorists, but I'm just going to tell you right now, we do not have a strong enough word in the English language to describe what Hamas is. Monsters is not a strong enough term. We can't call them animals because that's insulting to animals. Animals don't do this. Only human beings do this to other human beings. And it's really hard for me to even see them as human beings because of how horrible the things were that they did during this attack and have done in other attacks. That day, at least 260 people were killed just at the festival, and over 44 people were taken captive at that festival. So almost 10% of everyone that attended that festival was either executed by Hamas, and there's no other word for it. You can't even just say killed. They were executed, or they were taken hostage. Again, that documentary, We Will Dance Again, is really good. Again, if your stomach can bear it. I'll tell you, if you have a weak stomach or you just don't want to, you can't handle seeing that kind of brutality, don't watch it. But if you can handle it, I think it's good for you to watch it to understand who these people are that some people in our country are waving flags for. Who these people are that some people in our country are protesting for and saying that this should be a worldwide thing, calling for violence. I want to tell you a couple of stories fairly quickly from the festival attenders. The story of Elon. He's a 28-year-old male. And he said, as rockets began raining down, chaos erupted. Festival goers scrambled to escape, running for their lives as gunmen began shooting indiscriminately at the crowd. Elon managed to reach his car and started driving away from the massacre, hoping to find safety. During his desperate flight, Elon came across a bomb shelter where dozens of terrified people had taken refuge. But this shelter, meant to provide protection, became a death trap. Hamas militants found the shelter and began throwing live grenades inside, intending to kill everyone hiding there. Inside the cramped and fearful shelter, panic set in as the grenades started landing, but a brave man, the first to act, grabbed a live grenade and threw it out before it could explode. He did this several times, and eventually one grenade got in that he wasn't able to grab, and he was killed. Elon, witnessing the horror and realizing the gravity of the situation, took over the young man's role. Without hesitation, he began catching and tossing out the live grenades that were being lobbed into the shelter. This is really shown in really good recreation. Actually, it's all live video by that documentary. But eventually, he too missed one of the grenades, and it blew up and knocked him out. When he woke up a little while later, he found himself lying amongst dozens of dead bodies, people who had shared his shelter, now lifeless. The shelter, which had once been filled with sounds of panic breath and desperate prayers, was now eerily silent. Then you have the story of Hirsch. Hirsch, a 23-year-old Israeli American who was taken hostage during the October 7th attack. He was also trapped in the bomb shelter. This was pretty common because that's what they've been taught. When there's an attack, you go to a bomb shelter. He tried to throw back a grenade back at the militants, but it blew up, losing part of his arm in the process. He was later captured and appeared in a hostage video in April, pleading for strength. Despite international efforts to secure his release, he was killed just last month, and his body was found in Hamas tunnels alongside other hostages. He was killed when we almost, when Israel almost, they almost got to that group of six. I was talking about that a few weeks ago. But the order in Gaza has been, if they get close to the hostages, execute them. And that's what they did. They executed 6 hostages. One was Hirsch. That wasn't the only place of the attacks, and I don't want to just focus on that, but I would definitely recommend that you watch that documentary if you want to know what really happened that day. But the militants fanned out from there. Actually, they were coming in from everywhere. There's 2,400 of them. There was probably 100 that hit that festival. But the other parts that they hit was the kibbutz, which are small agricultural communities along the, there are several places in Israel. They're just these small little communities where they've come together and they have their gardens and they grow their own food, and they're all over Israel. The ones along the Gaza border, they were attacked. There's the kibbutz on Burel, situated just a few miles from the Gaza border. It became one of the hardest hit communities. Over 100 residents were massacred in their homes. Militants went door to door, executing entire families, including children and elderly. Some were shot point blank, while others were burned alive in their homes. Now, I want to tell you, I can't think of a worse way to die. Maybe drowning, I'm not sure. Between drowning and being burned alive, I'm not sure which one would be worse. Those are some of the worst ways that I can think of to die. And what we saw was these monsters, for lack of a better term, literally blocked any exit from the home, doused it with gasoline and lit it on fire and burned the entire family who was inside. In fact, we even have one report where they killed the entire family and found a baby. They put that baby in the oven and turned the oven on and cooked that baby alive. What do you call someone that does that? Like I said, there is no words in English that are harsh enough, that are bad enough to describe these terrorists, these monsters. Then you have Kfar Aza, another kibbutz that bore the brunt of the attack. Israeli soldiers who later entered the kibbutz described scenes of an unimaginable horror, with bodies of men, women, and children scattered throughout the community. Reports surfaced of babies and toddlers being beheaded and entire families being slaughtered. By the time Israeli forces arrived 6 hours later, the militants had already fled, leaving behind scenes of utter carnage. Across southern Israel, in kibbutz, small towns, and farms, Hamas militants carried out systematic massacres, killing over 1,400 Israelis and people from other countries. Victims included not only civilians, but also security personnel and first responders who rushed to the scene. The events of October 7th represented a devastating blow to Israel, with the death toll making it the deadliest day in the country's history. No country should have to put up with the attacks that they've had to put up with. And definitely not what happened on October 7th. There is no excuse for what Hamas did. They need to quit being cowards. You want to stand up to Israel's military? Stand up to Israel's military. Quit going in and killing innocent people. Quit going in and slaughtering people who have nothing to do with it, who are just trying to live their lives. The people of Israel just want a home. They want a homeland. Who doesn't? All right, thank you for joining me today. I hope you will continue to think about and pray for the country of Israel. And I hope you will continue to pray as we work with Israel as well as other countries around the world to try to eliminate terrorism from our world. Thank you again. Continue to pray for Israel and have a great week.